Culinary Kids, and we're continuing to talk about sharp things. Now, we've talked a little bit about slicing and we've talked about peeling, and today we're going to put those together and we're going to make an apple tart. Now, we're going to start with our cookie pan, and we're going to use another kitchen implement I love, cooking scissors. These are the most handy things. We are going to, now you can make your own puff pastry, but this makes it really easy. You can get it in the same part of the store where you get your cheese and your pastries and your biscuits. This is puff pastry. It's layers and layers and layers of very thin pastry. And what we're going to do is just unfold it. It's already wrapped in its own wonderful parchment paper. So we're just going to ease it apart, just like so. I'm using my thumbs to ease it apart right now. And then it's been defrosted. And I'm going to just take it to one end and I'm going to start unrolling it. Maybe we'll turn it this way to give me a little bit more leverage. Very carefully, because I don't want it to tear. I am going to roll it, and roll it, and roll it, and unroll it one more time until it's all unrolled. And this is our base. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the edges and just fold them over just a tiny bit and pinch them into shape, because I want each there to be a little ledge or a little something to hold the juices in. I'm going to do that on these two sides, and then, but first the long sides. Doesn't have to be much, just a little bit. So you can see I've made this so it has just a little bit of a lip all the way around. Now I'm going to take a fork and I'm going to very, very gently, just what we call score. Now I'm going to use the tines. The tines are the pointy end of the fork, and I'm going to, down the middle, make kind of like a polka dot line down the center, just like so. This is called scoring. The reason we do this, it lets us know what our servings are going to be. And I'm just going to do it just like this, going across it. 8 servings and 10 servings. So this will be enough for 10 servings. Now I'm going to crack my egg. And did you know if you crack your egg by hitting it on a flat surface, I always grew up using the edge of the bowl. Turns out if you do it that way, you're more likely to get eggshell in with your egg. By doing it on the flat, no eggshell. Learn something new every day, don't you? And then I'm going to use the same fork that I scored it in, and I'm just going to whip these together. Now, the reason why you do that is you want your egg all well mixed up. And now you're going to use a pastry brush. You're going to dip it in, and you're just going to brush it and cover the inner portions of your puff pastry with this beaten egg mixture. easy lessons. And then we're going to use sugar. Now in this case, I'm using something called, this is a kind of a brown sugar. It hasn't been refined as much as most sugars. And I like the flavor. It's granular, and I just like it better. So what I'm going to do is just sprinkle some on, sort of like making cinnamon toast. You don't want too much in any given one place, but just about like that. And then you're going to sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon on it, because cinnamon apples are great. Again, what I'm going to do, I'm going to sprinkle not low, but on high. Have you ever made cinnamon toast or something like that, and you sprinkled it real close to the toast, and next thing you know, you had just this awful mess? By giving it a little height, you're making your sprinkles a little bit more even. Now, here comes the interesting part. We're going to push that off to one side, and we're going to peel our apples. Now these have already been washed, and what we're going to do is using, this is one of my favorite peelers. I just like to take it up and just run it down toward the bottom, taking just a little bit of the skin off, just like so. Now my dad could take a peeler and he could start at the top and he could peel it round and round and round and eventually get all the peel off in one piece, which he swore was good luck. My dad was pretty lucky, maybe it worked, but I figured if I tried to do it on camera, I would mess that up. So who needs that kind of embarrassment in their life, right? This is tried and true, and it works. And if a little bit of peeling stays on, well, that's not the end of the world, is it? Because the peeling has a lot of nutrients in it too. So I'm going to take my apple, my peeling, and remember, great for the compost pile. And now what I'm going to do is cut the top off and cut the bottom off, because I like someplace firm to put my apple so it doesn't slide around. Now there's a couple of different ways you can cut an apple. In this case, because I want the slices to be really pretty, I'm going to start at one end, or one part, and I'm going to cut straight down, making a nice round bit. And then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to start on another side and do the same thing, and get nice round pieces, like so. I'm going to do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what I have done, and then what you can do, is cut the corners off and just eat those. They're fun. Put my corners off to one side. Now, I got up early this morning and I peeled a bunch of apples. But I just wanted to demonstrate for you what we are doing now. We're going to lay the apples. I'm going to start in the center of each piece, and I'm going to overlap my apples just a little bit. Just like so. nuts. In this case, you use almonds or cashews. And chop them up and sprinkle them over. Just like so. And now I have melted butter. And I'm going to use our faithful, once again, I'm going to give a little bit of a brushing. I'm going to drizzle, in this case, with the egg. Now I'm going to brush with melted butter. This is about 2 tablespoons. You don't want it to be too soppy. And I've preheated my oven to 400 degrees. Now that might be a little hotter than you're used to, but puff pastry needs the heat so it can puff up. All right, now that that's done, we're going to put this in the oven and let it bake for about 20 minutes. See you in a bit. All right, now our apple tart is out of the oven, and I wish you could smell it. It smells just as beautiful as it looks, just so you can see. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, one final step. Now you can take jam, and in the recipe it calls for apricot preserves. To be honest, couldn't find it in the store. But I found apple jelly, and I thought, apple tart, apple jelly? Why confuse the tone? So what I've done is taken some apple jelly, I've nuked it in the microwave for a few minutes. Now you're going to brush this on each of what's going to be your slices of apple tart. We scored it down the middle. And then we scored. Okay, so we've got our 10 pieces. I'm going to start with this end closest to me. May need to cut it just a little bit more. Make sure it goes all the way through. Look at that. Doesn't that look just gorgeous? Now, could eat it with a fork, but it's me. So good. So good, so fresh, easy to make. What more do you want out of a dessert? Make your own. Send me pictures and let me know.